So welcome back to the channel everybody, great to have you in. So today is another typical winter's day. It is bloody freezing outside and it has been a frost. So what does that mean when feeding cows? Well, for these girls it means nothing at all. So fodder beet is not affected by the frost, it's the other crops. That being said, that's why these girls here have been fed. So they have of course been fed 10 kgs of fodder beet. Now I have been asked the question, how many cows do we winter? And so let's rattle them off. This herd here, 350. This herd here, another 350. So these girls here, another 350. So this herd here, just to mix it up, is 350 again. They were 440. The dairy farmers decided to sell 50, but also merge another amount with another herd. Now obviously I haven't shifted these ones, have I? So let's get at it. Well, that's the last herd done. Because currently there's only 4 herds that have been fully transitioned onto fodder beet. Now this herd here, the Jersey herd as we call them, they haven't been fully transitioned. They've got a few days to go yet, but they are a herd of 380. And that here completes Not Our Tractor the amount of cows on the fodder beet for the winter. So this kale paddock here, as you can see, it's almost eaten off. So that Jersey herd we just visited, they come here at night as they are still transitioning. So they're transitioning off a kale onto fodder beet. So as you can see, they've got 1-2 days left. They're not only fully transitioned, but they've finished this half paddock. So that's a win for us, as they were over on another paddock. I've pulled them onto this paddock so that they can get this half finished, and it's all ready to be cultivated once those feeders have been moved out. So that's a great reason why we half these paddocks, so they're ready for cultivation earlier. Now we've moved ourselves closer to the yard, and this herd here is 150, and this herd here 150 again. These 2 paddocks of kale have been sold standing, so we don't shift the fences and we don't feed the bales. Now I'm in one of these 2 paddocks that the kale has been sold standing. Now what is worse about this paddock and is better about the other paddock? Now have a good look across this paddock and then have a good look across that paddock. Now the camera may not show it up as good as my eyes are to me, but I see a whole lot of stalk being left behind compared to this paddock where there's not a lot of stalk being left behind. Now as cropping farmers, we want it to be like that paddock across the laneway, simply because when we go cultivating, we don't want all that trash to be left there or to be binding up our machine. This may cause us a lot of headaches, and we may have to plough this instead of just hitting it with the one pass or multi-tiller. I know I'm being lazy and standing on the laneway and just pointing at the calves, but Dad shifted them and these ones over here as well on the oat as the frost has moved off. They are a herd of 140, they are a herd of 140. They were spring-born calves, so they are coming up to a year old now. As you can see, we've got a fence halfway. Now this half here is ready for cultivation. We won't be hitting it with the multi-tiller, we will be ploughing it for the reasons of burying all those stones under. So we had these paddocks started on this half, the north half, for a simple fact you have to start from a certain side with ploughing. And now last time we ploughed this paddock we started from that side, so this time we have to start from that side. That's the reason why I've got that plough ready, but unfortunately the rain has dictated what we do and it's still too wet to plough. Lucky last but not least is the autumn born calf, and there are 110 of these girls. As you can tell, I've just loaded up on straw. Now you're probably thinking that that's not a lot of straw for what, 1800 cows that we feed. That is simply I look like I'm about to mug you. That is because I've moved to feeding the cows every second day, but going out every day to feed half of the herds today, but then tomorrow I'll feed the other herds. But I feel a montage coming on, so let's get at it. Okay guys, so it is the afternoon. I just got called away unfortunately, so my goal was to get into the workshop early afternoon, but well, I'm here anyway, so I can't complain. Lately I've been quite busy in the workshop. I've done a 500-hour service on the big tractor. That got quite involved. Unfortunately I had a coolant leak to fix as well, but I got a lot of other little jobs done, so she'll be ready for cultivation along with the plough. Also got a service on the old General, the old 188. She also needed a few things fixing on her as well. In this workhorse here, I did a service on it, a 250-hour service, which only involved the engine oil of course, but had to fix a couple of things as well. But now that brings us to our next bit of cultivation equipment, a thing that we call the RZ. As you can see, it's got these big legs on springs with the discs at the back, 2 rows of them. It did have a set of packer wheels on it, but we removed them and had this system hooked up to it. This is the old system. As you can see, there is a stub axle and then a hub. Inside that hub are 2 bearings, and it was a shocking design because every paddock we went into, you'd come out and there would be one of these wobbling away. The bearings have got movement in them, or the wheel was popped, or something was wrong with them, and it was just a system that didn't work in our soil because the stones would go in between the wheels and force these bearings to pop the nut on that stub axle. Now that we've got this new system made up and we've got dual wheels either side, it works really well, except see this rock picker through the middle? All it does is deliver rocks to that point. They sit there and wear out our sidewall. So is what I'm doing here is to weld up a member to flick those stones out, and so we can carry on with our sidewalls intact. But first, of course, like any other day in the workshop, as you can tell, I've pulled one jewel off and it's exposed this rock picker. Now unfortunately, like I just said, the rocks come in and sit just in here. I am keen to work with this existing rock picker, but the only thing that I can think of to do is to make up a member that goes up here and curves around, and it enables the rocks to be pushed out. Some hard thought is going to go into this, because I don't want to come back here and do it again. Where does a farmer find all his steel from? Well, the scrap metal bin. I went straight to the scrap metal bin and found these old jackpot tines off our old maxi till, and I've cut them up so that they will fit in here as a rock flicker. I know they're not exactly the right type of steel, but all they need to do is sit there and flick stones out all day while I sit my ass on the tractor and don't have to get out and do it myself. Well, I think that should work. You can see there, little stones such as this guy, that system failed on. But the big stones, luckily, they get flicked out because they're the ones that cause the real damage. But I still don't want little stones getting in there and banging about to wear out our sidewalls. The next plan of attack is to cut the top off of this old maxi tilt tine and maneuver it over the top and into here. Bend this guy over a little bit more, but also weld a member all the way to the front here in order to flick that rock out, but also it runs away and out, because the wheels will be moving forwards like this and should hopefully pull that rock out and put it back on the ground where it bloody well belongs. Let's give this next one a go. Let's not make it easy on ourselves. Perfect. Let's have another go. Whew, well, that's success, guys. That works awesome. So I've just tacked it in there. Now I'll go around and weld it all up, but it is getting really cold out here now, so I am going to head inside. But I'd like to first of all thank you guys for watching. Hey, it's been great bringing this to you. I hope you guys are enjoying it. So cheers, and we'll see you on the next one.